Hello, everybody. Gonna get started in a second. Let me get everything situated. All right, there we go. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my masterclass. It's called You Are Enough. So I wanted to make this masterclass because we are going to dive into the worthiness wound, why we don't feel like we're enough, where it comes from, and all of the things. And also part of the reason on why I wanted to do this masterclass is because I've been having, in the past month, there has been so many epiphanies that have been happening for me. Like, I've done a lot of work. Like, I'm a trauma-informed somatic facilitator, so I've done a lot of healing work on myself. But there's always deeper layers to everything. So I have done a lot of work around my worthiness wound, and I've been just having so many epiphanies the last month on like how it has still been showing up for me. So I was like, I need to do this masterclass. I need to do this masterclass, and I need to share this with everybody because all of the epiphanies I've been having, I'm sure will also help you. So welcome to the masterclass. My name is Taylor. I'm a trauma-informed somatic facilitator, and I help you step into your boss babe era through somatic healing and energetics. So I'm so excited to share this masterclass with you guys. Okay, so what will be covered in this masterclass? So sneaky ways your worthiness wound is still showing up. So I'm going to share sneaky ways my worthiness wound was showing up, and it'll hopefully help you see if that is how your worthiness wound has been showing up for you. The healing that I have done around my worthiness wound, and how to start embodying your worthy as fuck self. Because that's really all I want for everybody, is I just want people to heal so they can come back home to themselves, so they can start to realize how infinitely worthy we are, and how we start to feel not good enough because of things that have happened in our life. Okay, so this masterclass is for you if nothing you ever do feels good enough. Like, okay, so like for me, I was like a high achiever. Like, I was a gymnast and I got straight A's and all the things in high school, and I was a very high achiever, but nothing I did ever felt good enough. Like, it was always like, it needs to be better. I need to do more. It needs to be better. This is also for you if you don't like hate your life, but you also don't like love it. You're like my life is fine, but there's just like this lingering feeling of like, this is how I used to feel. I used to feel like I don't hate my life, but I don't love my life. And there's just this lingering feeling of something's missing. I don't feel good enough, and something's missing, and I just don't feel fulfilled within myself. And then also, this is for you if you achieve all of the things but still don't feel good enough, and if you know you were meant for more in life. A lot of clients that I work with, they come to me with this same thing. They're like, I don't know what it is, but there's just something missing. Like, I don't feel fulfilled. I'm not unhappy, but there's just something missing. That's like a common theme I see in my clients. And that was me for a long time. It was like, I'm doing all of the things. Like, I'm achieving all of the things that I want to achieve. I'm doing all of the things, but there was just this feeling of like this icky feeling of like, I am not good enough and something's missing. Also, throughout this masterclass, please feel free to leave any comments. I will answer your questions, and at the end I will definitely, but you can leave your comments and I will definitely. Emptiness. Yes, Kelly, emptiness. That's a good way to put it. Like an emptiness. It's like, I'm doing all of the things, but there's like this emptiness feeling. Yeah, I agree with that. Yes, thank you for that. But yes, comment any questions or anything you have, and I will answer them throughout this masterclass. Okay, so the next thing is, if you felt worthy as fuck, you would be living the life of your dreams. I want to read that again. If you felt worthy as fuck, you would be living the life of your dreams. Okay? If we felt infinitely worthy, if we felt like we were good enough, we would show up and we would be living the life that we want, because we would know that we are worth that life, and we would know that we would somehow get to that life. We would somehow create that life. So this is why the worthiness wound is so, so important, because people who feel worthy, people who are confident in themselves, they show up and they do the damn thing, right? They're like, I am so confident in myself and I just show up and do the damn thing. But when we have this deep worthiness wound, we get scared to show up. It's like, okay, I want to do that thing, but like, I don't feel good enough and I'm not really confident in myself and I don't really know if I can do the thing. But when you feel worthy as fuck, you're like, here's the thing. I know I can do the thing. And if the thing doesn't go the way that I want it to go, that says nothing about me and my worth. Right? So it's like, can we detach our worth from what we do and what we achieve? Right? It's like, can we become so secure, confident, and worthy in ourselves for just existing? I don't need to do this thing to feel worthy. I don't need to achieve this thing. I don't need to do the next step, right? It's just like, I am so fucking worthy how I am. And everything that I do, no matter how it turns out, it is not a jab to my worth. It is just a lesson. And I learn from it and I move on and I grow. Right? All right. Okay. So now we're going to dive into sneaky ways my worthiness wound has been showing up and how it might also be showing up for you. Okay, so I was doing this, I did this workshop a couple weeks ago. And the workshop was like on your business and you, because I own a business, I'm a coach. And so this workshop was all about like digging deep into like what is holding you back, right? Like what is holding you back in the past. So what the two main things that showed up for me, which are attached to my worthiness wound, is fear number one was fear of letting myself down, right? Like that was fear number one. And underneath that, it was like, I've let myself down in the past. I always fall short. I work hard and it is never enough. Right? So under that fear of letting myself down, I have this worthiness wound. I have this evidence of I've let myself down in the past. I always fall short and I work hard and it's never enough. So for those of you that don't know, I was a gymnast growing up, did gymnastics my whole life, trained 20 plus hours a week. And my goal the whole time was to do college in gymnastics. And that didn't work out for me, right? So it's like, I let myself down. I let myself down so fucking hard. And then I saw that as I always fall short and I work hard and it's never enough, right? It was like, I put in all of these hours. I never skipped track practice. I never missed. And I worked so fucking hard and it still wasn't enough. Do you guys see how that is attached to the worthiness wound? It is never enough. Okay. And then the second part of what was coming up for me in this workshop is fear of not being enough, right? Which is totally the worthiness wound, right? It was like, what if I don't reach my goals? And what if everyone watches me fail again, right? So like my gymnastics career not turning out the way that I wanted it to, in my mind, it was a big fucking fail. So it's right. So it's like, I have this worthiness wound that is holding me back because it's like, what if everyone watches me fail again? Right? What if they watch me fail again? Right? So like all of these were attached to my worthiness wound. Fear of letting myself down and fear of not being good enough. That's all attached to the worthiness wound. Okay, so here's the important thing. Our worthiness wound comes from childhood. Oh, hold on. There we go. Okay, so our worthiness wound, oh, hold on one second. So our worthiness wound comes from childhood. Hello, Meredith. We already started, but don't worry, I will be sending out the email of the replay so you can watch the beginning. So anyways, our worthiness wound comes from childhood. Also, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I will answer them. So our worthiness wound comes from childhood, right? So it's like, nothing I ever do is good enough, so why even try? This is a huge thing that's been showing up for me. Nothing I ever do is ever good enough, so why even try? And this started, this came from my mom. I love my mom. In a lot of ways, she's an amazing mom. I love her so much. However, she did this thing when we were children where she would ask us to do something and then we would do it and it wasn't good enough. It wasn't the way that she wanted it done and it wasn't good enough. So I started having this belief about myself really, really young of like, like nothing I ever do is good enough, so why even try? Right? So like that's going to show up in my life. It's like, okay, I want to do this thing, but it's never good enough, so why fucking even try? Right? And then underneath that is I was abandoned. My dad killed himself when I was 13, right? So like an abandonment wound is huge on the worthiness wound, right? It's like I wasn't good enough for him to live, right? Like if I was good enough, he would have lived, he would have stayed here and all of the things, which now as an adult, I know that has nothing to do with me, right? Like, but as a kid, you internalize those things, right? And then, okay, so I had this epiphany the other day, and I remembered a scenario in my childhood where I was like, damn, like that was like really fucked up and not an okay thing to do as a child. So, like I said, I was a gymnast, and there was this one gymnastics meet, and I was supposed to do this certain trick on the beam, and I didn't. I didn't do it. So, after I was done, my gymnastics coach didn't say anything to me, and it was our last event. So, my gymnastics coach didn't say anything to me, and then he just left. Like, he left the meet, he didn't say anything to me. And then the next practice, the practice after that gymnastics meet, I came in, and he like did not talk to me all that practice, right? So like he gave me the silent treatment, but I internalized that as if I do not perform, and if I do not show up in a certain way, I get treated this way, right? So it's like that shows up in the worthiness wound of like, I am not enough. I am not enough, because if I was enough, he wouldn't have gave me as a silent treatment. But this is also why we try to prove our worth through achieving, through a doing, right? So it's like after that, I was like, oh my God, okay, I have to perform a certain way to quote unquote be loved, right? But that's not true. That's just like how I internalize that. It's like this person, this very important person in my life, treated me a certain way because I did not perform a certain way. So then we internalize that as if we internalize that, and then we start to prove our worth through achieving. If I achieve X, Y, and Z, then I'm worthy. If I achieve X, Y, and Z, then I will be loved, right? And then again, this played out in my gymnastics career because my gymnastics career did not end the way that I wanted it to. So I already had this innate worthiness wound of like, I am not enough and nothing I ever do is enough. And then college gymnastics didn't work out for me. So that just reproved to myself that I am not enough, right? Let me take a drink real fast. So how was this showing up in my business? This is so important. So our beliefs, how we feel about ourselves, are so subconscious. They are so deep on our subconscious mind that we don't even know that they're there. And they are programmed when we are children, from 0 to 7. Now there's research saying from 0 to 12, right? So I already had this core belief, this worthiness wound of nothing I ever do is good enough, so why even try, right? So this was starting to show up in my business of like nothing I ever do is good enough, so why even try? Like, why even try at my business, right? Which is not good, but it's like, I know that this business is what I'm meant to do. Like, this is my soul's calling, and I love helping people. And when I do coach people, like, they get such great results, and it makes me feel so good. But then my worthiness wound shows up, my not enoughness shows up, and it's like, well, nothing's ever good enough, so why even try, right? So this is like, I love this because all of this stuff has been coming to me in the last month. And this is why I knew I had to teach this, because I'm like, people need to know about this. So my best friend and I have been best friends since we were in the second grade. So like 20 plus years. And my best friend sees everything as amazing and enough. Now, let me explain this. Like, this was such an epiphany for me, because I want you guys to understand how my brain works when you have a huge worthiness wound and how her brain works. So her brain sees everything as fucking amazing. Like, it could be the littlest thing. Like, okay, so for instance, let's say yesterday I was tired and I felt like I couldn't go for a walk. And then I ended up going for a 5-minute walk. In her mind, she would be like, that is so fucking amazing. 2 seconds ago, you said you weren't able to do that because you were so tired. And then you just did. That is so fucking amazing. But my brain goes, well, yeah, it was 5 minutes, but it should be more. it should be more, right? Because nothing is ever good enough. It should be more. It should be better. It should be more. Or it's like, okay, let's say I have 5 one-on-one clients. Her mind, she would be like, that is so fucking amazing. That is awesome that you have 5 one-on-one clients. But my mind would be like, I mean, yeah, that's nice, but it should be more. It's not good enough. It should be more. So do you guys see this? Like, I hope you guys are understanding this the way I was, because this was so huge for me. Because it's like, I can live over here in my worthiness wound and see everything as nothing is ever good enough. Or I could live over here how my best friend's mind works and see as everything is always good enough all of the fucking time, no matter what. Okay. So, oops. There we go. Okay. So this is also important. We are born infinitely worthy. We are born so fucking worthy. It's just stuff happens to make us believe otherwise, right? So like all of that stuff that I just shared with you were all of these things that made me feel like I was not good enough. I was not good enough. Nothing's ever good enough, right? But I want you to think of a baby, right? When a newborn is born, you look at it and you just think this is the most amazing fucking thing ever, right? But that was us when we were born, right? It's like we were the most amazing fucking thing ever. But here's the thing. We are born infinitely worthy, and then life happens and we start to get these subconscious beliefs that we are not good enough. But that is not true. That is not true. There is nothing that says you are not good enough. We just internalize it as we are not good enough. Okay, so now let's move on to how we heal the worthiness wound. How we heal the worthiness wound. Okay, so mindset work will not cut it. It will not cut it. So I did mindset work for years. Move this up a little bit. There we go. I did mindset work for years, like read the self-development books and all of those things. And it just like wasn't moving the needle. I wasn't feeling different. And here's the thing, mindset work is only 20% of it. So I was only working at the 20%, right? So I don't know if you've ever like tried affirmations, like, you know, people say like, write down your affirmations or say your affirmations out loud and da 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 da, but nothing's ever changed. Or you try to think differently, but you still feel shitty. So it's like you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I am loved. I am worthy. I am loved. I am worthy. But inside you still feel shitty, right? So there's a disconnect between what you're saying and thinking and how you actually feel. And like I said, I read the self-help books, okay? So we're going to get into okay, so let me go to the next part because this part's important. So this is what will work with any type of healing. Here's the other thing. We all have a worthiness wound. We all have one, right? But with any type of healing, this is what will work. But we're going to talk about the worthiness wound. So acknowledging it instead of avoiding it or trying to change it, right? So this is what happens. We'll start to feel a certain way. We'll start to feel not good enough. We'll start to feel unworthy. And then we'll either like avoid it. We're like, nope, nope, nope. I'm going to ignore that I feel this way. Nope, nope, nope. I'm going to ignore I feel this way. Or you're going to do, okay, I'm going to do this thing to make me feel better. I'm going to achieve this thing to make me feel better. Because once I do that thing, then I'll feel worthy. But that's just like a quick fix and it only lasts a little amount of time. Right? So it's like, that's not going to do it. Now, here's the other thing. This is what will work. Feeling your emotions. Unworthiness is a feeling, right? So if I say, how do you feel? And you say unworthy, that is a feeling, right? So again, we're trying to think, we're trying to talk our way out of how we're feeling. That's not how it works, right? So then the third thing is healing your trauma somatically. So this is also important. Trauma. Which trauma makes us feel not good enough, which gives us the worthiness wound and da 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 da. So for instance, that scenario I talked about earlier, when my gymnastics coach did that thing, that would be like a small mini trauma, right? So trauma doesn't always have to be a big thing. Yes, those are things too, but a lot of the trauma that people have are small little things that happen to us as kids. They're not these big, enormous things, right? So that scenario that I said with my gymnastics coach, that would be a little trauma that happened to me. right? Like any time as children that we didn't feel love, we didn't feel seen, we didn't feel heard, or all of those things, those are like little, those are what we call little T traumas, right? So we have to heal our trauma somatically. Somatic work has changed my life. Body-based work has changed my fucking life. So I became a trauma-informed somatic facilitator because of how much it changed my life. But once I started working through things and healing things, not just trying to think about them and talk about them, but actually process them through my body, that is when everything fucking shifted for me. So trauma, we experience trauma at the body level. We feel it, right? So like, I want you to think about how your body feels when you feel unworthy, when you do not feel good enough, right? Think about how there's a physical reaction that happens at your body when we feel that way, right? So we have to acknowledge it and we have to feel through it, through our body, through our nervous system. Okay, let me take a drink. Do you got any questions so far on TikTok or on Zoom? Any questions? Okay, so how do we start embodying our worthy as our worthy as fuck self, right? So this is why, like I said, healing your trauma, doing body-based work is so important, because you cannot shift how you feel until you process and release it. Now, I just want to tell you that I was the queen at suppressing my emotions. Like the queen, like I would only cry once a year. I was just very good at suppressing, shoving down. I had disordered eating and exercise addiction because I was avoiding how I felt, right? All of the things. But once I started to learn how to feel my feelings and process them through my body, that's when I started to feel differently. That's when I started to shift into a different version of myself. So an example that I use is, imagine when we're trying to change. Imagine you are trying to change and you're like running, right? You're trying to change, you're trying to move forward, but you have this band wrapped around you that is connected to a tree behind you. So you're just moving in place, right? So this band and the tree is all of our trauma. It's all of our trauma. It's all of our childhood conditioning and subconscious beliefs. So if we do not acknowledge them, work through them, and release them, they are going to hold us back, right? So once you start working through those things, you can then start to move forward. But we try to move forward and we try to change without acknowledging the things that are holding us back. But if we cannot acknowledge the things that are holding us back, how can we move forward, right? So how do we start embodying our worthy as fuck selves? Number one, start celebrating every little thing that you do. Now, I know this seems so like silly or dumb or like whatever, but like I was saying before, when we have a worthiness wound, nothing is ever good enough, right? So instead of me being like, oh, I only increased my money $10 this month, instead of me being like, oh, that's not that much, that sucks, I'm gonna be like, that's fucking amazing. I increased by $10. How fucking amazing. Instead of, oh, I only increased by $10. Right? So it's like anything in your life, anything where you start to go, that's like that. I mean, that's fine, but it could be better. And it's not, and it's not good enough. I want you to start celebrating it. I want you to, and not be like, oh, okay, so Taylor told me to celebrate this, so I'm gonna sit here and be like, oh, that's good. No, I want you to be like, that is fucking amazing. That is fucking amazing that I did that thing. 2 days ago, I said I couldn't, and I did it today. That's fucking amazing, right? Now, the second part of this is start acting as if. Now, this is gonna be a little bit hard and a little bit tricky in the beginning when you're just starting to do this stuff, but it's like, okay, if I felt infinitely worthy, if I felt like I was enough, how would I start showing up? Right? And just do small little doable things. Like I would, like whatever it is, how would you start acting, living, and believing if you felt like you were worthy and you felt like you were enough and you felt like you could do the thing that you wanted to do? How could you start acting? So this could be like, if you quote unquote want to be like a fit person, right? It's like, start acting like that. What would a fit person do? Okay, they would go for a walk every day. That's a good start, right? What would a fit person do? They would eat a good breakfast, right? That's a good start. But here's the thing. Don't be like, okay, I said I was going to be this person. And then one day you don't do the thing and you're like, oh my God, I fucking suck. See, there you go. No. Mm-mm. We want to focus on moving forward. So focusing on like, hey, okay, maybe today wasn't a great day, but yesterday was fucking fantastic and tomorrow's going to be even better. Right? So start acting as it. Now here's the third part. And like I said, body-based work is so important. Feel it at the body level. So this is so important because I don't know if you've ever experienced this. My best friend and I talk about this all the time. There is such a difference between knowing something logically and understanding it and feeling it to be true for yourself, right? So you could be sitting here and you could be like, oh, okay, Taylor, like I get it. I understand it. Like I am worthy, right? And you're like, okay, I understand that. But then you're like, but I don't feel that way. I feel shitty. I feel depressed. I feel sad. I feel not enough, right? So it's like when I work with clients, I get them into their body, connect with their body, and then we work through the imprint. So the imprint is like the sticky, icky thing, right? We work through that. And then after that, I'm like, okay, is there a little part of you that can feel worthy? Like, can you feel that physically? Can you feel the difference in your body between this shitty feeling and like, I am worthy? And like meditation paired with somatic body-based work has completely changed my life. And that's what I do with my clients. And it's just so exciting, the results that they get. Okay, so are there any questions so far? Any questions so far? So you can either think it out loud or put it in the chat. Where do you guys feel like your worthiness wound is showing up for you? Where do you feel like your worthiness wound is showing up for you? Like I said, mine was like, nothing I ever do is good enough. So why try? Right? Okay. So if you're like, this is me, this is how I feel, I'm ready to feel fucking worthy. I'm ready to step into my power. I'm ready to become the person that I know I am meant to be and get rid of all of the shit that is holding me back. I have created Worthy as Fuck. So Worthy as Fuck is my new group coaching program. And it is, let me move this out of the way. And it is starting in July. Once everybody gets signed up and stuff, then we'll pick a date, but it's going to start in July. It's 4 weeks. It's a live group coaching program on Zoom. And it's $44 or 2 payments of $222. So we will meet every week on Zoom in the group. And then we're going to have a Voxer chat. So Monday through Friday from 9 to 3, you guys will have Voxer access to me, and I will reply and help you work through anything that you need in Voxer. And the exciting thing is that the first 4 people that sign up also get a free one-on-one session with me. So the first 4 people that sign up also get a free one-on-one session with me. And I'm so fucking excited for this because it's like, and here's the thing, we are going to work through this. Yes, we're going to talk about it and all of the things, but we are going to work through this shit somatically. Like, I want you to come out of these 4 weeks feeling like a whole new fucking person. That is all I want for you. You are infinitely worthy. And it's just these stupid things that are holding you back, but you can release them. You can work through them and all of the things. So if you guys have any questions, hold on. Okay, so reminding myself that I'm allowed to learn in this life helps me show compassion to myself. Acknowledging that both positive and negative feelings are part of the experience. I feel like the worthiness wound is showing up as my self-critic when I'm alone, and it's always showing up in my pursuit for a romantic relationship. Thank you for sharing your voice. Okay, yeah. So, okay, love this. Let me move this over here. Okay, yes. So, love this. So, yes, our feelings are part of the human experience. We are supposed to feel all of the things. And here's the other thing. We cannot feel the highest high of feelings. So like the highest amount of joy, the highest amount of happiness, whatever it is, unless we feel the shittiest, lowest amounts of feelings. And this was so hard for me to accept and learn because I was so afraid of my feelings for so long. I was so afraid to feel the shitty feelings, like, you know, those feelings where you're like, I don't want to feel this, like the ugly cry. And once I allowed myself to do that, once I allowed myself to feel those feelings, after I worked through it, there was so much joy and happiness on the other side. But here's the thing, a lot of times people get stuck in their feelings. They get stuck in their emotions. Instead of just like allowing yourself to feel through it, they get stuck in like this like, I'm not that happy, but I like don't really like my life, right? But it's like if we can learn how to feel and process our emotions, then that's when I started to become the happiest. I know that seems so weird, but when I started to cry more and feel my feelings is when I started to become happier, because instead of those feelings getting like stuck in my body and energetically weighing me down, it's like I felt them, move through them, release them, and then I was like, oh my God, I feel like a brand new fucking person. But yeah, I feel like the unworthiness wound is showing up as my self-critic when I'm alone. Okay, yeah. So what does your self-critic say when you are alone? If you don't mind sharing. I'll give you a minute to type. I really hope this is recording because that's going to be so upsetting if it's not. How is your self-critic showing up? What does it say? Hello, TikTok. How is your self-critic showing up? I'm sorry if this drink is super loud and annoying. Okay. Okay, so this is so good. Okay. Fear-based mindset puts me in freeze mode almost. It says I'm not doing enough to support myself in the present moment. Yeah, so this is so interesting because I forgot to I wanted to mention this. So our worthiness wound and our nervous system are connected, right? So we can't work through our worthiness wound without acknowledging our nervous system, right? So you're saying, so two things usually happen. So we get this feeling of like, and I want you to start to notice how your body feels and what happens in your body when you get that feeling of I'm not good enough, right? So start to notice, do you feel it in your chest? Like where do you feel it about and all of that? But two things normally happen. When we get this feeling, and our nervous system, so we get this feeling of like I'm not good enough, and then our nervous system gets triggered, and like you said, two things either happen. You go into freeze mode, right? So it's like this is kind of like the nothing I ever do nothing I ever do is good enough, so why even try, right? So like freeze mode, so why even try? I'm just going to go into freeze mode. Or on the other side, some people go into hypervigilance. It's like nothing I ever do is good enough, so I need to try more and do more and do more. So I've like swung on both sides. Like I used to be so hyperachieving, so doing, right? So like my nervous system was like, nothing I ever do is good enough. So I need to do more, and I need to prove myself, and I need to do more, and da 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 da. And then eventually my nervous system got to the point where it's like, well, nothing I ever do is good enough, so why even try, right? So like the freeze side. So we have to allow our nervous system to get back to a neutral place, so then we can take action from there. So we can take action from neutrality, right? It's like or we can take action from inspired action, right? So inspired action is like, this is so exciting, this is so unaligned with my soul, and I want to do this thing, compared to I need to do this thing, or I should do this thing, or I have to do this thing, right? Would you like to do a little practice right now if you want to? Let me know. Yes, taking action. Yes, please. Okay. Do you mind putting your camera on? If you feel uncomfortable, that's totally fine. So just let me know either way. Hopefully you're not driving. I'm assuming you're not driving. One moment. Okay, that's fine. Take your time. I'm in no hurry. Take your time. Also, thank you for being here live. Other people were signed up, but they probably couldn't make it live. So I'm so glad you're here. It's always so much better when people are live because then I can do like some coaching with them and answer their questions. So I'm so happy that you're here. Actually, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for this. Why? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I have my headphones on, so it might be a little muffled.
No, you're good. You're good.
Is it
I'm so
okay?
happy that you're here. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, hold on.
awesome.
Okay. So, if you feel comfortable, just go ahead and allow yourself to get relaxed, comfortable, whatever feels good for you. And I first just want you to notice, is there anything showing up for you right now in this moment?
Like feeling wise,
Feeling
after I,
wise, thought wise, whatever it is, whatever is right here in this moment.
okay. My body feels pretty safe right now.
Okay, good.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, okay. So go ahead and just close your eyes again if that feels good. And just notice your feet on the ground or your hips on the ground, whatever feels good for you. And then also, if you want to bring in some type of resource, so resource is anything that makes you feel calm, peaceful. It can be a person, a thing, an animal. Nature is huge for me. Just whatever feels good for you right now. And I just want you to notice how you feel, notice what's happening in your body. And if it feels good and if it feels safe, I want you to think about a moment in your life when you did not feel good enough. And I just want you to notice what happens at the body level in your mind when you think about this. And if it feels good, just let me know whatever you're experiencing, whatever is happening for you. Are you a certain age? Is there anything in particular happening?
sorry, it takes me a while to get into my body.
Nope, you're okay.
Um,
Take your time.
I would say the thoughts, the age I am in my thoughts would probably be around 5 or so. Um, I have visions of myself in my childhood home and stuff like that. Could elaborate more if you want.
No, it's okay. So do you notice a shift in your body compared to when you felt like safe and resourced compared to like when you were trying to think about that time where you didn't feel enough? And it's okay if you don't, if there is no difference.
I would say I feel it in my solar plexus a little bit.
Okay. So if it feels good, go ahead and close your eyes again. And then how would it feel to just give a little bit of attention to your solar plexus? Doing whatever feels good. That could be like putting your hands on there, whatever feels good. Just giving a little bit of attention to that area and just noticing what happens. There is no right or wrong. And just noticing what happens and just letting me know if anything is happening.
I'm still practicing getting in touch with my body more. So I
Okay.
feel like my thoughts, though, are a little loud and they're just starting to reparent that inner child. Because I've done a lot of like talk therapy work and stuff. So that's where my mind automatically went.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, okay. So if this is totally cool and totally normal. So when I first started doing this work, I was like what my first coach was like, okay, now feel into your body. And I was like, what? Like what do you mean? Right. And then like it's like
Hmm.
meditation. Like at first I could only like meditate for 1 minute because my mind was like, what are you doing? Right.
Hmm.
So I just want to validate that this is so normal. Like if you're like, okay, I'm just learning how to connect with my body and all of that stuff, that is so normal. And if you just keep practicing it, it will get easier. So like this is totally
Yes.
normal. Totally normal.
Yes, I do notice I can feel into my body a little bit better um when I'm completely alone and when I sometimes smoke a little of the herb just to help me relax.
For sure.
And um, yeah, my body does speak to me. It's made a lot of improvements in the past year.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I'm still working on it. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Do you have any questions for me?
hmm. Not specifically. I didn't prepare any. I'm usually a notes person.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's totally okay.
But I do just want to say I like hearing your perspective and the way that you teach because I am also interested in becoming like a trauma-informed somatic therapist.
Awesome.
I am seeking one out right now. I would rather have one in person, but I have some great resources where I am.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I've been doing talk therapy for a couple years, and I'm finally to the point where I'm like, something's missing there, and I know I have to include the body a little bit. So yeah.
that's
And
awesome.
I also, yeah, I'm also realizing that I don't necessarily need to seek someone out, although I would like some guidance, but like it's all within me. I just have to take the time to be silent and to listen,
Mhm,
which it takes a lot of practice.
mhm.
So
Yeah, I will say, yeah, it is obviously like it is all within us, but it is so much easier when you have somebody to guide you. Like, cause like,
oh, totally.
right, like when I had like a coach and they like guide me, I'm like, okay, but like when I'm trying to like coach myself, like when I'm trying to notice everything, it's like, la, 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 la.
Yeah, yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed working with a hypnotherapist and like she would have these books and it was just guided imagery. So the imagery helped calm down my nervous
Mhm.
system and that was a really good experience. So,
Yeah. So That's so cool because our mind doesn't know the difference between real and imaginatory, right? So that's why
Hmm.
like when you imagine things, it calms your nervous system down because your body thinks that's what's actually happening.
Yes,
Right? Or if
yes.
you like wake up from a dream and it feel like and it's just like a not a good dream and you're like, holy crap, that like feels like that really happened, right? That's because our
Yeah.
body doesn't know the difference between, okay, this is really happening or I'm just imagining this in my mind right now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. That's cool. Well, I'm so glad you
Yes.
were here.
Yes, me too. I'm glad I woke up in time. Didn't get ready, but that's okay.
That's okay. I don't care. Okay, do you have any more questions before we get off?
Let me think for just a moment.
Yeah, you're fine. I got like we have time, so just take your time.
Cool. I could ask all these questions, but really it just takes practicing. And I think you've already answered my question and how to get out of that freeze mode
Mhm.
sometimes. And I'm just on my couch and I'm like, should I smoke? Should I eat? And then I do both instead of listening to my body. And so,
So
yeah, but
when you're in freeze mode, I want you to ask yourself, what is one little doable thing I can do right now that would feel good? Right? So like when we're
yes.
in freeze mode, it's really hard to go from like freeze mode to like up and going and doing all of the things. So it could be as simple as like I'm laying down, I could sit up right now. Right?
Yeah.
Like small things or just like moving your body and you don't even have to get up or stand up. It's just like moving your body a little bit, just a tiny little bit to help with that
Yeah.
freeze.
I feel like we ultimately go to extremes, like of the opposite state that we're
Yes.
in, but
Yeah.
it's not that. It's not like stretching your neck as far as you can go. It's being gentle with yourself. And yeah, one thing that came to mind when you said what's something little that you can do, and drinking a glass of water usually makes me feel better.
Yes.
So that's something small that's doable. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because like when we're in freeze mode, we also like right get on our mind of like I should be doing this and blah 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 and like why am I not doing the thing? And it's like okay, but what is just like the one simple little thing that you could do right now? Because you're in freeze, so it's just like one. And then when we're in freeze and then we're thinking about I should be doing all those things, it actually makes you freeze more because it gets like really
Yeah.
overwhelming, right? It's like okay, I'm already frozen here, but I need to be doing this, 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 and this, and this, and then your body's like, yeah, no. Where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I can just take a drink, right? I can just get a glass of water and take a drink. That's good enough
Hmm.
right now.
Yeah. A good mantra is like I would will practice more is like I have plenty of time because I feel like the capitalistic mindset ingrained in all of us is like, you don't have enough time. You have this list. Please complete it now. So, well, I'm so young. Like I do have plenty of time, but my mind is like, no, get it all done now. If you don't get it done, wagging the finger.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, something like I've practiced, especially like in my business, that's been really helpful for me. And there's only three things. There's only three things that I want to do in my business every day. And if I get those three
mm,
things done, that's good enough. And then if I feel like doing more, I can. But it's like those three things are good enough. I don't have to get all of the things done. But you can, I do
yes.
that in my life too, right? It's like these three things, that's good enough for today. And then if I feel like doing more, then I can.
Hmm.
Right. But like sticking to like three things is so like, okay, that's enough. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much.
Yes, this was
It was
so,
nice getting to talk to you.
yes,
I've been
yes.
following your emails and I'm interested. So, yeah.
Oh, good. You're on my that's okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you have any questions, you can email me. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram or you can DM me on Instagram. But yeah, it was so nice to
Okay.
meet you.
Gotcha.
Thank
Yes,
you
you
for
as
coming.
well. Yes, thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. I'll see you
Bye.
later.